on. There is no limit to the study of King Lear. It is such a big play, and there's so much of depth in it that this play is prescribed in MA also. In MA first sem, we have King Lear. So, but if you, when you will be taking admission in MA, if you are doing MA English, then you won't have to read it, because by then the syllabus will be changed, right? So, but this year MA Sem 1 students are also studying that same play.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, Shobna is unable to join. She's messaging.
Tell her to ask her to change her place, because she may not be getting signals properly. Because she's
Okay,
not
ma'am.
in lobby. If she's in lobby, I can I'll admit her, but she has not come to lobby so far.
Okay, ma'am.
So change her position. You can ask her to change her position. Okay. So I think now we can begin. This is going to be the last class for, as I said, for King Lear. After that, 1 or 2 classes we can have for doubt clearance. And along with the doubt clearance, we would be exploring more of King Lear. And so it will be completed before 30th of November. In December, we would be doing the next play. Shaurya, is
Yes, ma'am.
Shobna here in the class?
Yeah, ma'am, she's trying to connect, but she's the call is ending on itself.
Still,
Yes, ma'am.
see, I won't be able to do anything here. She would have to ask her to try again and again, and she will get connected
Okay,
during
ma'am.
this class. And at any point of time, whenever she is in lobby, just tell me that she is in lobby, waiting in lobby, and I'll admit her. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, see, today we are going to discuss themes in King Lear. So, when we are discussing themes in King Lear, the notes that I have taken is directly from sparknotes.com. So, you can go to sparknotes.com after the class and take the printouts of the theme from there. Okay, I hope you all know where is sparknotes.com. Can you find out? Sparknotes.com. Do you know about this site?
No, ma'am.
See, this you should note down, or I'll send you the link also. And here also, in each and every slide, I have given it in fine print, sparknotes.com. Okay. Yeah. There, when you see, uh, you will see plenty of literature there. From your syllabus also, you will find so many explanations and all the required notes and all. है ना? So just see that. Sparknotes.com. From there, this material has been taken, and I think this is quite sufficient for your study of the themes of King Lear. Right? See, there are so many people coming in lobby, and I have to admit them. That's why the reason is that I'm not beginning, because I want them to. Anjali Vishwakarma is trying to join us for a quite long time, but don't know why she's still in lobby and unable to join. Jaspreet Kaur. I don't know why you people are joining a bit late. It's 15 minutes before the scheduled time you should join, so that we don't lose our time here. Tanvi, please switch off your mic. Mute yourself. Yeah. Joined. Shobna, have you joined?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Acha. And there are still two. Anjali Vishwakarma, she is unable to join. I don't know what's the problem is. She is there in lobby for such a long time, and still she is not able to join. Action failed. This is what I'm getting for Anjali Vishwakarma. Tell her if she sends message to any of her friends, Anjali Vishwakarma, tell her that she is in lobby, but I am admitting her again and again, and action failed. This is the response that I am getting. Okay. And now I begin with the presentation straightforward, and you can collect all your doubts and make a list for the next class. 30th November, before 30th November, we are going to complete this unit 2, King Lear. And I now straight go away. I now straight come to this. Just wait. Who's there in lobby again? Anuja Singh. From next time onwards, please join 15 minutes before, okay? So we don't lose any time. Now, can you see the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
So now
Yes, ma'am.
we have done all this, and I come to the theme as I told you. The notes, this I have taken straight from sparknotes.com, and in a very good language, easy language, this is given there. So the first theme, see, themes in King Lear. This is today's class. There are several themes here, but all the major themes that I have picked up, and this is what we are going to do in today's class. And so here we come. The first theme is nature versus culture, family roles. Natural is something which is as you see in relationships, since we are talking about family roles, legitimate relation and illegitimate relation. Edmund and here we have this, and Regan, Goneril, they are all natural children of their parents, right? So this is important theme in the play, as it brings about much of its action from the very first scene. That is, from the very first scene. First scene means Cordelia and King Lear, father-daughter relationship, the natural relationship. And then other central themes that we would be discussing further along with this natural versus cultural is language versus action, legitimacy and perception. So Edmund, for example, asserts that his status as an illegitimate son is only a product of unnatural social constructs. What is natural? Actually, by natural, we understand something that already exists, pre-exists, before civilization it existed. Okay, that is natural. So even marriage is an unnatural relationship because it is not made by nature. We know this. But during those times, marriage is something which is considered to be the natural relationship. Okay, so the children who are born of out of marriage, they will be considered as natural children. Okay, that is the difference. So Edmund asserts that his status as illegitimate son is only a product of unnatural social construct. Marriage is considered to be natural social construct. There are three words that you should now understand. First is construct. Please mute the mic. First word is, someone has unmuted the mic. Please mute your mic. Shivani Upadhyay. Shivani Upadhyay, please mute your mic. Yeah. So these are the three words: natural, social, construct. Construct, something that we as human beings construct something so that the life goes on in a smooth way. So social construct. We have first thing that we constructed was society. That is we call civilization. We are civilized beings because we live in society. We do not live in a natural surroundings, in a natural environment. By nature, I do not mean trees and plants and animals and jungle and forest and all that. By natural, I mean before civilization, man as a nomad. Okay, so that is construct. Then society was constructed. Well, society was constructed, something society accepted. Those things, those constructs that society constructed were considered acceptable, and something which was unacceptable was considered unnatural. So marriage is a natural social construct. Natural, so it's an artificial thing. For uncivilized people, marriage is a artificial thing which society has constructed. But for social construct, marriage is a natural social construct. And any relationship outside marriage is unnatural social construct. So Edmund is a product of unnatural social construct.
Ma'am, why is marriage a natural social construct when we made it? Humans decided.
Yes, it's a social construct. No? It is a construct. Society has accepted it.
Okay. So because society has accepted it.
We are talking about 16th century vision.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So then.
Today,
yes, ma'am. So then you mean that then marriage was not questioned and it was like
marriage was yes, it was natural thing. It was considered to be a see how society constructs in patriarchy. Just let me give you this example. In patriarchy, right, it is regarded that women are subordinate beings. This is a social construct.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cooking is a social construct that belongs only to men can just, this example will give you a clear this thing, that for men anything that can be converted into currency is a manly thing. It's a natural for them. So men in hotels, when they are cooking, when they are chefs, then that is their natural role.
Yes,
Why? Because they are cooking. सब्जी वो घर पे भी बना रहे हैं, सब्जी वो होटल में भी बना रहे हैं. लेकिन जब होटल में बना रहे हैं तो that is natural role. और घर में बना रहे हैं तो it's unnatural.
Yes, ma'am.
Because when they are cooking in hotel, they are earning money.
Okay, so natural and unnatural is the
same. Anything which is accepted by the society is natural, and vice versa.
Yes. So society accepts men cooking in hotels because through that they are earning money. Okay, women earning money is an unnatural thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. So this is what we are studying in 16th century's understanding of the people, not 21st century.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
In 21st century, we think that marriage is a kind of a relationship or an institution. Some people are entering, some people don't want to. Those who don't want to, okay, fine. Right? It's not something unnatural if a person thinks that I should not marry.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So, so that is what social and unnatural social construct is. So Edmund is unnatural product of the social construct because he is illegitimate son. He even goes so far as to suggest that he is more legitimate than his brother Edgar. So see, what is the argument given by Edmund? Edmund gives the argument that marriage is an unnatural thing because their children are produced, right? Because people are married. So there's no passion between the individuals producing a baby. And when there is a natural passion between the two sexes, it is then the product that comes is natural. So Edmund feels that he is natural. Because
Okay,
he is
ma'am.
born out of the natural passion between man and woman. That is Edmund's argument. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And because he was born in a passionate, although dishonest relationship. Who says that this is dishonest? Society says this is dishonest relationship. This is the argument given by Edmund. Okay. And Edmund is the product of two humans following their natural drives, natural impulses, natural urges. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think this is something somewhat complicated thing, but if you ponder over it, then you would understand more. If there is any doubt in mind, unnatural social construct for in general for the people of society is a legitimate relationship, but Edmund gives the argument that he is the natural one and Edgar is an unnatural social product. So that kind of conflict, that kind of dilemma, natural versus culture, right? Culture says that Edmund is illegitimate, but nature says Edmund is legitimate. Got it? Yeah. Now, at the same time, however, Edmund disobeys the supposedly natural drive of a son loving his father. The same Edmund who is giving this kind of argument, what he is doing, he is not following it in his when it comes between him and his father. The natural drive, natural relationship between son and father should be of love. Okay, father-son relationship, that means when we talk about father-son relationship, the natural thing that will come is love. But Edmund betrays his father. So that means his behavior is unnatural. A son planning to kill his father, a brother planning to kill his own brother. Okay, this is something unnatural. Because the natural thing, what is natural thing, that in biological relationship, the product is always love. So when there is father-son relationship, the product should be love. But here what the product, that is natural thing. But here what is the product? It is hatred. Hatred to the extent that the son wants to kill his father. So this is unnatural.
Ma'am, here culture means something which is unnatural.
Culture here is society.
Okay.
In society, see, the irony is that in society, they consider a husband-wife product to be the legitimate person, right? But according to Edmund, he says that this husband-wife relationship is a dishonest. They do not love each other, but since they are husband and wife, okay, so the product is not born out of love. Love is a natural thing between man and woman.
Yes.
But the child born is out of dishonest relationship, that since society has labeled them as husband and wife, so the product is called the legitimate one or the natural one, but that is unnatural because it is born out of dishonest relationship. But from society's point of view, you see, then you say that if the child is born out of marriage, then that is unnatural. Okay, so what is natural and what is culture? That kind of dilemma, nature versus culture. That kind of dilemma is there in Edmund and Edgar relationship, Edmund and Gloucester relationship. And when same Edmund plans to kill his father, then this is unnatural behavior by the son. Because the natural behavior would say that the son should love his father. There should be love between father and son. Yeah, because there is a biological relationship between son and father.
Blood relationship.
It's a blood relationship between son and father. So that is natural relationship. Blood relationship or biological relationship is a natural relationship, and in natural relationship the emotion that should be there is of love, but it is hatred, and hatred to the extent that the son is planning to, and he kills his father, gets his father killed. He becomes his father's murderer. So this is unnatural.
Okay.
Right? And in that, and then you see Regan and Goneril. They both are planning to kill their father. So here again, father-daughter relationship becomes unnatural. Then Goneril, even she is betraying her husband. So this again is an unnatural relationship between husband and wife. Husband and wife relationship is considered to be natural. That is again 16th century, society that we are talking about. Husband-wife relationship is considered to be natural. And in natural relationship, the emotion should be of love. But here again, wife is betraying husband, planning to marry someone else. Okay, that was the time when divorce and all, they were not legal terms. There was no concept of divorce. Right? Extramarital affairs were considered to be unnatural thing. Now we do not use this term natural and unnatural for relationships. But in 16th century, this was regarded as, marriage was again a divine thing for them. God had planned in heaven that who will marry who on this planet Earth. Right? Thus, this play demonstrates. Yes.
Ma'am, so I'm unable to understand that why the title is natural versus culture. Because something which is natural is accepted by the society, na?
Something natural is where is it accepted? Natural thing. Edmund is the product of natural thing, but is it accepted by the society?
No.
They are the opposites. They are the two poles, natural and culture.
Okay.
They are the two poles. Natural thing is not accepted by the society. A man and woman, when they make a relationship, then a child is born. So this is a natural biological thing happening between humans as well as animals.
Yes,
but yeah, it's a natural thing that happens between any living beings. Okay.
Yes,
but if it is within the purview of marriage, then it is acceptable. So it becomes natural. And if it is out of marriage, then it is not acceptable. So it becomes unnatural.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it? So this play demonstrates the preoccupation with familial connections and their relationships to the natural versus social. Familial relationship, connections in the family. Okay, connections in the family is familial relationships.
Ma'am, I didn't understand the last line. Demonstrate a preoccupation with familial connection.
Preoccupations means deals with. This play deals with. This play demonstrates the preoccupation, how much we are preoccupied with, how much we think about this. That what is familial connection, who is connected to whom, in what way, is it natural or unnatural? And familial connection and familial relationships. Between these connections, what kind of relationship do they hold? Do they love? Do they betray? Do they hate? They conspire? They sacrifice? These are the various aspects of relationships. Is there mutual love, mutual respect, mutual hatred? Okay. So at one in one hand we have these familial connections and familial relationships, and on the other hand we have natural versus social.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this theme clear to you? Because this is the main theme of the play King Lear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in our last class, when we dealt with that single line, ripeness is all, we see how when the things are getting ripe, when human beings get ripe with their experiences, how their concepts of natural and culture also changes along with it. How King Lear, he begins to understand life in a clearer way. He gains clarity of thoughts. Okay. Now we go to the second point in this, that nature versus culture also has an hierarchy. Hierarchy means who comes first and who comes later. More important, less important, even less, even less. The bottom one is the least important one and the top one is the most important one. A pyramid, you can just assume a triangle. Triangle, bottom part of the triangle, if you draw lines within in the triangle, horizontal lines, the bottom one is the less important one, then better, then better, then better, and the upper one is the most powerful one. So here we see that King Lear, he grapples with the theme of nature versus culture. From the very beginning, he is saying that Goneril and Regan, they do not have nature has betrayed them. They do not have womanly qualities in them. If you are born woman, then he believes that there are some characteristics that should be there in women, like sacrifice. Women should have this sacrifice. Again, you know, in genders, they have heavily stereotypes the gender. From men, no one expects sacrifice. That is a female quality.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So theme of nature versus culture is in a very different way. He is grappling with it, evidenced in what has become the legendary scene on the Heth. In Heth, when he is wearing that crown and he is shouting, at that time he is saying some words about Goneril and about Regan. So those dialogues you can see there. The scene is rich in its interpretation. You can we have done those lines, and then we find that there are so many meanings coming out of it. So this image itself of King Lear, he has become insane, and he is standing in between, in the midst of this colossal means very large storm. Is this very powerful one, that this king was once upon, he has ruled for so many years, and now he is all helpless. He had been within the four walls, protected in a palace. Now here he is all exposed to this heavy storm. He has got nowhere to go. He had spent his youth and entire age when the physical strength is at its peak. But here he is a poor old man. So on one hand, the storm on the Heth clearly reflects a storm in King Lear's mind. Just as he cries out, "Let not woman's weapons water drops stain my man's cheeks." Stain my man's cheeks. Let me not weep, because again, these tears, these are the characteristics of women. And that too, he says, this again is a sarcasm that he's putting it, that women use their tears as weapons. If a woman wants to get anything done in life, then what she would do, she would go before a man and she would cry. Whether she wants her dress, whether she wants a necklace, whether she wants any other work to be done for her, what she would do, she would cry. And those tears, they act as weapons. And man's heart is wounded by it, and he immediately fulfills her wishes. So he says that I don't want to cry because I am not a woman. I am not using this weapon to get my things done. So these water drops, they are staining my man's cheeks. Man's cheeks should always be, you know, robust, with full of energy. No tears should roll down the cheeks of a man. So Lear connects his own teardrops with the storm's raindrops through the ambiguity of water drops. Own teardrops, raindrops, storm's raindrops. He is crying. Same time, storm is raining heavily, so that water is also rolling down his cheeks. So there's ambiguity whether these drops of water that are rolling down the cheeks of King Lear, are they raindrops or are they teardrops? So in this way, the scene implies that man and nature are much more in tune than suggested by the unnatural cruelty of family members depicted here. The cruelty by the family members, whether it is Edmund towards Gloucester or Regan and Goneril towards Lear, it is unnatural. And similarly, the storm that has come is a natural thing. Man here is a natural thing. Right? Nature is also being destroyed by the storm. Man here is also being destroyed by these women. Okay, so nature and man, they both are now suffering here, and there is storm causing sufferings to both man and nature. Okay, now at the same time, however, Lear attempts to establish a hierarchy over nature. He says, I am above nature and I would separate myself from the nature. In what way? I am man, I will not cry. Let nature weep, but I will not weep. Accustomed to his role as a king, he demands, for example, blow wind and crack your cheeks. That you can shout as much as you want to, like a woman, but I will not, submit before you. So while the wind just does blow, it is obvious that he does not do so because Lear has demanded it. But Lear thinks that he is commanding the wind also. Instead, it seems like Lear is fruitlessly attempting to order the storm to do what it has already decided to do. Perhaps for this reason, Lear cries, "Here I stand, your slave." For king, he thinks that he can even rule nature. So at times he feels that he has commanded the storm to do this, and on the other hand, he's crying that I have become slave. This nature is ruling over me. Nature is above me. But yet I call you servile ministers. I call this storm, I call the nature my ministers who are there to serve me. Servile ministers. Okay. So पहले पार्ट में क्या था, इट वॉज मैन टू मैन रिलेशनशिप, और यहाँ पर क्या है, मैन एंड नेचर रिलेशनशिप. कल्चर इज फॉर मैन एंड नेचर इज फॉर द नेचुरल थिंग्स. यस
Ma'am, what does this last line mean? But yet I call you servile ministers.
He says that wind is my minister and will obey me. Servile minister. Okay. You are trying to enslave me, you are trying to make me slave, that I am going to be hurt by you, but I believe that I have commanded you to blow so fast to manifest the storm that I have in me. This is manifested in this physical form, and I would call you my minister. You are following me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ma'am, Shobna
Yes.
here, I wanted to ask, there was this line that nature and men are much more in tune than suggested by the unnatural cruelty of the family members depicted here. Ma'am, how do they suggest that nature and men are not in tune?
Where is that line? Let me search for that
in the
line.
second, in the first paragraph, last sentence. In this way, the scene
Yes. Water. In this way, the scene implies that man and nature are much more in tune than suggested by the unnatural cruelty of family members depicted here. Till now, in the first slide, we studied that there is natural and culture, right? And the cruelty shown by the family members is unnatural. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
it is unnatural. That means nature is benevolent. Nature is a good thing. But here in this second part, we see that even nature is cruel. So nature is as cruel as a man can be. If Regan and Goneril can be cruel, if Edmund can be cruel, if man can be cruel, then nature can also be cruel.
Yes, ma'am.
मतलब
Yes,
if because इससे पहले क्या पढ़ा था कि natural beings are always very sacrificial, where the natural bond between father and son should be of love, because it is nature, it is natural, right? But here what we are seeing, it is storm. Storm is devastating all the nature. All the trees are falling, and it's raining so heavily, things are flooded. Okay, and the animals, they have all hidden they have all taken some shelter. Life is being harmed by nature in storm.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
but how do these unnatural qualities of the family members, how do they suggest that man and nature are not in tune? Because there is the comparison given, no, that they are much more in tune than suggested by the unnatural cruelty of the family
Yes,
members.
when there is storm, it is suggested that man and nature are in tune, right?
Yes.
But when there is cruelty by the family members, it seems that man and nature are not in tune, because nature there is believed to be of love.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, because naturally it is believed that
There is love in natural things.
yes, ma'am.
That is the belief. But
Yes,
this belief is being broken by the storm.
okay. Okay, ma'am. So this seems suggests that man and nature go hand in hand. Is that what it means? They are more in
Yes,
tune.
yes, yes. They go hand in hand. They are both alike.
Okay, ma'am.
Even nature can be harmful.
Okay, ma'am.
If nature can be harmful, that means even a father-daughter relationship or father-son relationship can be harmful. There can be children can murder their parents.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So this is, this is a state when the mind of the king is very agitated. That is why
Yes,
such
ma'am.
interpretations are coming.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, the word natural and unnatural are also confusing because natural means what is, human,
Because
which comes
when
out of,
when you have to understand the meaning of this word natural, first what you have to do is that you have learned certain meaning of natural till now.
yes,
So
ma'am.
first of all, you unlearn that meaning, forget that meaning, and then you have to relearn that in 16th century, what does this natural mean? Natural here means natural social construct. The society, whatever society has constructed, is natural for them.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. But then again, what are, things which are based on human instinct, aren't they also natural? Because,
Human
like,
instinct was not considered natural at that time.
okay.
It is a
Okay.
human instinct that Edmund is born of.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
But
so
it was
that natural instinct was not considered natural. Edmund is an unnatural son of his father.
father, according to the social rules of those times.
Yes, yes.
Then why is it written nature versus culture if culture is also saying the same thing? Like the
Well,
heading.
I think you should read it
Yes,
again.
ma'am.
Okay, with a very
Okay.
cool mind, just read it again because it's complicated. Yes, I understand that. So read it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So now we move to, this is the last point we will do, because Acha, we cannot complete it today. So I think should we continue one more slide, or should we stop here and next time we can do?
Ma'am, we can continue. I think we can continue.
All of you, no one has got class now at 12:40? Anyone who has got class at 12? Okay, so this slide will do for, it will take 5 minutes only. Language, action, and legitimacy. So while Edmund is grappling with the theme of legitimacy, grappling means he's just thinking about, and he is engaged in. Okay, so while Edmund is engaged with the theme of legitimacy, Shakespeare presents it not just in terms of children born out of wedlock. Instead, he puts into question what legitimacy really means. Because he has shown both ways. Is it just a word informed by societal expectation, or can actions prove a person legitimate? See, if Edmund is trying to kill his father, and then we say because this is not a legitimate relationship and it has ended in this way, then in this, and it's unnatural, then this means that Regan and Goneril, they are also harming their father. Right? The father had shown so much of trust that they had given he had given his entire kingdom to his daughters. But these two daughters are so ungrateful that they cannot, they are now, after taking everything, they are saying that they cannot afford their father. Right? And then they are betraying that relationship with their husbands also. So is it just a word informed by the societal expectation, or can actions prove a person legitimate? It seems that Goneril and Regan are the illegitimate daughters of King Lear, though they are not. And that legitimate relationship that they are having with their husbands, they are turning it that also into illegitimate. So Edmund suggests that it is just a word. Someone has to unmute the mic. Just check your mics. Check your mic, someone who is there. I just want to complete it very fast. So, yeah. What I was saying, yes, Edmund suggests that it is just a word, or perhaps hopes it is simply a word which does not have any meaning. He rails against the word illegitimate, which suggests he is not the real son of Gloucester. However, he ends up not acting like a real son, attempting to have his father killed and succeeding in having him tortured and blinded. मतलब जो शुरू से ही कहता आ रहा है कि मैं रियल सन हूँ और मुझे इलेजिटिमेट कहा जाता है, मुझे रियल सन, बट ही डिडंट बिहेव लाइक अ रियल सन. Right? So what does this legitimacy mean? That is the question in the play. Whether legitimate or not legitimate, does it make any difference when it comes to relationship between parents and children? And in the similar way, we see that Lear is also preoccupied with this theme right from the beginning. He attempts to give up his title, but not his power. He says that I am not no more of a king, but at every step he is showing that he is the king. So, language. Meaning of this term illegitimate, or through the language King Lear is projecting as he is the king. He has not changed his language after becoming the king, after leaving his kingship. After leaving his kingship, he does not just wait. Meena, she has just joined. I don't know why so late. Yeah. Okay, so Lear is also preoccupied with this theme. He attempts to give up his title, but not his power. However, he quickly learns that language, in this case his title, and action, his power, cannot be separated. Leaving kingship, he says that now he is not king. Cornwall becomes the king, Albany becomes the king, okay? Goneril and Regan, they become queens. But then at the same time, अगर आप kingship अपनी दे रहे हो तो आपकी power भी तो चला जाएगा ना. He doesn't realize that. He wants to retain that power. He wants to have everything under his own command. And after all, it becomes clear that his daughters, having inherited his title, no longer respect him as a legitimate king. So language, action, and legitimacy. These three terms, they are all struggling to occupy that space. Language, yes, they are all in conflict. They are all clashing against each other. when a person, the action that king committed is that leaving his kingdom. Now, if he is no more of a king, then his language should change. That means it should become somewhat subservient. He has to follow now. He should have realized that if I give kingship, it means that now the things will happen according to those who have been given a kingship. So language, action, and legitimacy. These three terms are very important for this play King Lear. Okay. So this is what
Yes,
we
ma'am.
did today. And in next class, I think we'll have to, for doubt clearance again, after that class, we'll first finish these points today, where we have left it. No, we'll complete it. And then one class for all the doubts. Okay.
Ma'am, if you want, we can ask everyone to open their cameras so that we can click a photo.
Okay.
Or have you done this?
Yeah. Please click on your, come on video. All of you, please. And I think most of the parts of King Lear should be clear to you. Actually, this play is so deep, it's so vast that you cannot, and I told you in the very beginning, the first class itself, that so many researches are being conducted on this play, on every word, how many times the word nothing is used in the play, and ripeness is all, and whatever he's saying to his daughters about something natural, unnatural, from point of view of gender studies, this play has been done, about filial bonds, children and parents relationship, this play has been studied. So this is an ongoing process. Research goes on and on. And so study of King Lear will never end. But for you at BA second year level, we have done more than enough. I think I have even exceeded somewhere to some places. I have exceeded the limits of MA also for you, because you all were so much interested in this play. Okay. Now what I want is that by this today evening, whichever character seemed most interesting to you, I am not saying that whichever character you liked it, okay, just write few words and post it in WhatsApp. And even I would want that something about Regan and Goneril, what you feel, your own feelings about these two girls, these two women in the play, because a lot has been said about Cordelia, but about these two daughters also. Okay, we have discussed Edmund also, but I want that some engaging discussion should be done on a character whom you are interested in, as well as take into account the behavior of Regan and Goneril also. Okay, and post it today by this evening, so that this will help in understanding when we go for our second class on the same topic, themes in King Lear. We can discuss that also. Okay, it will give us some more points to discuss then. Right? Okay, next play also that we have in our syllabus after this, Doll's House. Doll's House.
Okay.
Next unit we will be moving in. We are leaving Tempest for now. We will be moving on to the third unit, that is Doll's House. That again is going to be very interesting because it's contemporary day-to-day life. That is what even today we are dealing with. Okay. Okay then. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Most welcome.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.